Welcome to week 11. We are at Applying Love to Your Life. Can you believe we've arrived to week 11? This is fantastic. Fantastic. I'm going to begin with I am aligning with to bring us all back to self and to come back fully present in your body so that we can engage in today. I am aligning with, and say your name. I am aligning with, and say your name. I am aligning with, and say your name. It just feels good, doesn't it? To just come back to the body.
Feels good. Feels good to be with you tonight.
It feels good.
Now, we do have to do a disclaimer tonight. We are not licensed therapists. All information regarding addictions and mental health is through our research and observation. Please consider seeking a qualified provider for treatment in overcoming addictions or mental health issues. Techniques offered here tonight are made available as support tools on the healing journey and not recommended as a substitute for treatment.
That's right. So we're going to reiterate about what it means to have a trauma brain. And the trauma brain is a very overstimulated brain. It's where we bypass, because of so much interaction, that we bypass critical thinking and go right into that fight or flight or that trauma response. You may have had language with yourself or with somebody who is experiencing trauma brain saying things such as, I can't turn my brain off. It just is so hyper aware and hyper stimulated. Also, our senses become very hypersensitive. We maybe have more sensitivity to light or to sound or to touch. All of those extra sensories, because our nervous system is on alert, our body is on alert, and so all of these signals that come in tend to overstimulate our system. We have to know now that trauma is through the eyes of the beholder. Two separate people can have the exact same experience. However, one of them may walk away from the experience knowing that it wasn't something that was an ideal situation, but they were able to self-regulate very quickly and go about their life, where another one took that experience and over time ended up having a trauma response. Now, this is more common in people who have had unresolved childhood trauma. That tends to be an indicator that that's going to be more likely, or somebody who's had multiple traumatic experiences can also contribute to that, or a brain injury can also contribute. So there's various reasons as to why people behave that way. It's not shaming or bad, it's just a recognition that some people's brains may have more sensitivity. And we know that trauma results from the person's perception of the event rather than just the event itself. But we also know that trauma, the transformation from trauma, can start with the decision to heal and release your past.
Now, mental health in the pre-19th century was viewed as God is punishing you and you're a sinner. You're inflicted with sorcery or witchcraft. Evil spirits have taken you over. And, when you're in fear and anxiety, they probably have. Now, hysterectomy equals hysteria or being put away. Now, hysteria was known as not thinking correctly or being insane. And women were considered to carry this histrionic behavior more than men because they had a uterus. But what I've found in my life is that women are more in touch with emotions than men are, and so they're often considered more emotional. But that's not a bad thing, because our emotions, especially if they're good emotions, will help perform power for us.
That's right. So there's support options that are available for mental health, and traditional, the support system would be talk therapy. Now, you've heard me talk about it before. Talk therapy is great for behavior modification. I'm not a huge fan for trauma healing, because sitting on a couch and re-describing or revisiting a traumatic experience can that heightened awareness back into that fight or flight response and with nowhere to go. So if you have a therapist that you love and that you trust and you have build up a relationship, then fantastic. Another one is medication that tends to dull the sensory response. Mental wards are still used today. It was more common back in the 50s and 60s, but it is still common today. Electric shock therapy has been used quite significantly for a number of reasons with trauma, brain surgery, where they sever the connections to help block those receptions, and then group therapy. It's nice to have a group or somebody who understands you and coming together as a tribe. We've mentioned a number of times, tribes are what we're here to build in this world now, and that's one of the benefits of the last few years is we're building tribes. And so having a group therapy is fantastic, but it tends to focus on the problem rather than the solution. Now, the modern approach is many of the things that we've talked about. Breath work is fantastic. It helps regulate the nervous system. EFT or tapping will signal the amygdala, which is our trauma response. Essential oils, supplements, and CBD all can be supportive in regulating the nervous system. And Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine, it's a fantastic opportunity where we blend in Eastern tradition and bring it into our Western world. And the Western world tends to focus on pharmacology, but we know that it's more of a band-aid approach of symptoms rather than addressing the true concern. Hypnotherapy and meditation. Now, this is not a complete list. These are ones that we're familiar with. Other options are Psych-K or EMDR or body code, or any of those can also be supportive. But these are the modern approach where we instill tools in the individual that they can use throughout their life, which is a fantastic experience.
Very good. Now, the healing evolution. Now there's a greater understanding of trauma and how it affects the mind and the body. The new approach is that it's not so much the event that happened to you, but rather the response in the brain and the nervous system and emotions to that event that inhibits our natural ability to cope and heal. Healing requires looking at where you are in your history, where there was some sustained stress or a shock to your system. And that's where we're looking today.
That's right. And we're also going to be focusing on mental health and addictions. Now, it's easy to judge someone with an addictive tendency, and we may view them as weak or somebody without any willpower. But the first issue is not focusing on what we see as a weakness in the individual or why there is an addiction. The primary focus that we need to look at, and is beginning to look at now, is why is there pain in the first place? We are a Band-Aid society where we tend to focus on symptoms or the end of the domino effect, focusing on those areas rather than coming back to the source. Now, I like to look at it from this perspective, that we need to stop pulling people out of the river and go upstream to find why they're falling in the first place.
Now, addiction myths include addiction is a choice. No, you don't make the choice to be addicted. Addictive behaviors are a choice as a temporary attempt to numb your emotional pain. And number two, addiction is inherited. No, you don't inherit addictions. The inheritance is not the genes that cause the addiction, but the behaviors that cause emotional pain. We remember that pain and we want to get rid of it, and so we numb it with something that's addictive. And we must understand that addiction is a trauma that continues on because a lot of these substances are very addictive. And we must understand to heal, you must first heal the trauma.
That's right.
And the emotion behind the trauma.
That's right. That's right. And unfortunately, all of us have some level of an emotional addiction. When we have a painful past or an experience that is unresolved, we often will play that scenario over and over in our mind because we're trying to get for a number of reasons. One of them is because we're trying to find closure in it, where trying to find resolution. Another reason is we want to protect ourselves from having that happen again. So our brain keeps it very much at the front burner so that we don't allow that experience to happen. And we may not feel validated or heard in our perspective. So there's a number of reasons why we have these experiences playing on our brain. But every time that we do that, we're releasing an emotional chemical response that's equal to the event. Now your body becomes addicted to this response, and often so, even though we didn't like the experience, our bodies become addicted to that hit. And every time that a person or event comes back into our mind, we'll release the same chemical response as if it's happening in current time. So we're constantly reintroducing the trauma back into our mind and body as if it's happening over and over, which is very challenging on the body.
Now, to get addiction support, society judges addiction to substances because of its impact on others and the individual. Usually addictions contribute to theft, to lying, to stealing, to all kinds of problems. We must meet people where they are, not trying to change them, but treating them with the love and compassion that we would want for ourselves, because this is what heals. The love helps heal the addiction.
That's right. Love is going to help heal. So when your life feels out of control, then these are a few options that you have. One of them is to learn to accept what is. Just know that an event took place, an experience happened, accept that this was an experience, but you can be separate from that experience and not identify as that. Focus on what is true. Our brains tend to look at the worst case scenario. We tend to scan for any possibility and think if we can survive the worst case scenario, we can survive any case scenario. However, we know that the law of attraction and quantum physics, that whatever we place our attention on magnifies and moves in from energy into matter. Use emotional support tools. We all have emotions that go up and down all the time. Our emotion shifts all the time, many times throughout the day. But when we have a repeated emotion that is unresolved, we need to use tools to help pull that out of the mind and the body. We've addressed a number of tools that can be supportive. The walk and talk is a fantastic one. It's amazing to do anything that engages the body to help pull things out of the body. And that's why really strong breath work with the lower energy centers to help pull that out is very supportive. Practice mindfulness and breathing to regulate the mind and body. In a trauma response, you don't feel safe in the mind and body. So we need to start feeling safe in our bodies once again. Mindfulness helps have that awareness, and the breath work brings attention back into the body. And then journaling your emotions. This is something that I don't think a lot of people engage in, but journaling your emotions is a fantastic way to get it out of the body and see it on paper. And rather than the ping pong ball of the emotions and the thoughts that just run through our system, when you have it down on paper, it isn't the big scary monster that it can be when it's in the body. So journaling is a fantastic approach. Then if you switch it into a gratitude journal or journal about possibilities, you shift your attention out of the past and into the potential of the future. So it's a great support tool.
And journaling actually affects different parts of the brain that make a deeper effect on the subconscious. So it's important to write things down because you're using different pathways in your neurons and making different synaptic connections.
That's right.
So acts of service, when somebody has addictive tendencies, their attention is on their self and their need for that addictive substance. Shift your attention to others. Selfless service is actually what we need to start learning, because selfless service is where God wants us to be. Our role in this world is to be of service. We need to tune in and ask, not when can I get my substance, but who needs me? And do an act of kindness and keep your attention on the other person in the present moment. Keeping in the present moment keeps your mind in a better space and keeps your energy with yourself and with assisting others. This is not paying for the person behind you at the drive-thru.
Yeah, that tends to be the default that people say is, oh, I'm doing an act of service, so I put $5 extra on my card for the person behind me in the drive-thru. That's not really connecting with that individual, and it's not really supporting of placing your attention. It's kind of the chicken exit, so we encourage you not to do that one, but rather engage with somebody by tuning in. So recognizing that the whole self that is maximum wellness is a balance of the physical self, our emotional health, our mental health, and our spiritual health. And any step that we take in improving one area is going to have a positive influence on all areas of the self. When we struggle, though, we tend to focus on the one area that we think needs to fix, such as mental health, and trying to always focus on the mind and keeping in present time. Now, that's great, and it's fantastic to focus on the one that we think that needs the work. However, when we focus on building a physical strength or endurance, it offers support of mental and emotional health. Is a great example of how we can focus on one area and help influence all areas. Or we can focus on our spiritual health, and focusing on our spiritual connection, our divine connection, our intuition helps our emotional and mental health as well. So if focusing on one is an opportunity to help enhance the whole self by any application.
So, energy intelligence. Everything is energy. And when you realize this, 99.999% is energy or a wave frequency. And there's only 0.001 that's even matter. And so we live in a vibrational universe. And we are vibrational beings, a transmitter and a receiver of energy, attracting compatible patterns of energy, blocking non-compatible. Our frequency is determined by our thoughts and emotions, so we need to keep them higher so we're in a higher state of frequency and vibration.
That's right.
And love is the highest.
That's right. So we have this question at the top of this title here, and I want you to take a moment and close your eyes and asking this question: what would your future self say to you right now? Just take a moment and ask, what would my future self say to this? Imagine your future self 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now. What would be the advice that they would give to you? Now, this is a great opportunity, and it may seem very simple, but there is an internal wisdom that is available to each of us to draw from if we choose to connect to it. We are not linear beings. We have access to different dimensions. We have access to time and space, and wisdom from people who have crossed over. We have wisdom from our ancestors that we can tap in if we choose. Now, when we tap in and ask that question, what would your future self say to you right now? It's helpful because it's something that is an anchor point for us to help move forward. What is your view of the world? When we have a view of the world that it's unsafe, that it's not kind, that it's a threat, that we have to protect ourselves from the outer world, we aren't engaging in life from a loving state. It's from a space of fear. Now, what is your place in the world? How do you contribute to the whole? Are ways that we can recognize that, are we drawing from the energy of others? Are we drawing from the field because of perceived weaknesses or perceived illness or perceived limitations, or areas where we are drawing and asking the world to feed us? Or are we contributing to the world by being in service, by choosing to do our inner work, by choosing to do on our emotional management, by recognizing ways that we can improve in our life and taking the steps forward? That's a simple act of perception that can have dramatic changes over time. When you make one step in any direction of positive improvement, you are moving in a healthy direction towards the whole of everything, and that impact can affect the whole.
Now, my future self said to me from the future, stop taking things so seriously. And so I need to consider that, because I am a very serious person, especially when it comes to people's health and healing and all of that.
Yeah, that's great. And When I asked that question today, when my future self say to me, it was that all is well, that everything's okay, and to stop trying to micromanage and control, that just trust that everything is well. Those are just some simple things to look at.
That's good to look at. Now, showing up for yourself. The greatest act of love you could demonstrate is to overcome the years of unconscious programming designed for limiting your ability to create and your worry about being safe. You must see yourself as a student in this life experience. Be willing to participate in the learning experience and embrace your worthiness to heal. After all, we are here to experience things, and we need to experience them with love and joy.
And we all have the worthiness to heal, but we have to look at the emotions that separate us from worthiness. These emotions are anger, fear, shame, self-doubt, guilt, and judgment. They're all limiting and dense emotions that keep us stuck in this 3D paradigm. Not only do they limit our potential, but they also limit our perception of what is true. When we have emotions that are very intense and we get stuck in those, we tend to become very narrow-minded and we limit other possibilities by lowering our frequency and causing us to be separate from what we desire. As an example, we want joy and health and vibration of happiness and abundance and all of those wonderful things where life can be wonderful, but we're stuck in these negative emotions that can really limit us. To be worthy of anything, though, we must feel worthy first.
Worthiness is not. Now we're going to look at this list, entitlement. What do you think the world owes you? The world actually doesn't owe you a darn thing except an experience. And so entitlement is not being worthy of anything. Hierarchy based on economic status, gender, age, caste,
The caste system.
the caste system. We cannot get ourselves into that because that's putting yourself above others. And we're all one. We're not above anybody else. We are one with one another, and we need to help each other. Obligation. You want it, so it's owed to you. No, you need to create it, not be obliged to get it. A reward is payment for suffering or prior deeds done. We come from life to life, and we're not actually accomplishing anything until we take charge of our own emotions, take charge of what our behavior is causing. So we need to not be going, I need to be rewarded for suffering, because suffering is not good and it creates other emotional problems. Balance. Other people have it, so I should have it. Now, that kind of balance, some people take that to the extreme of taking from others because they feel they deserve it because the other people don't deserve it. And that brings us to the next one, deserving. You endure struggle, so you deserve it, which actually causes other problems in our body.
And this one really applies with health issues too, where people have suffered with a lot of health things. They may feel that other people are obligated to take care of them, or they feel entitled to a better treatment. Now, of course, we want to be kind and supportive when somebody's on any kind of struggle, but that level of entitlement really can be very limiting, and it's not a healthy way. But what worthiness is acknowledging that nothing in our outer world will change until you change your inner world. That's the law of physics. That's the law of the quantum energy. And if we acknowledge that none of this is going to change until we change, then we bring ourselves back into holding the reins in our life. It's also believing that you are the creator of your reality. Now, are you the creator of your entire reality? Did you create every challenge in your life? Maybe or maybe not, but you did contribute to your reality on some level and to some degree. Accountability and examination of what needs to change in order to draw a future potential to you. We have to have accountability of how we've shown up and what we need to do different. And we have to examine our life in ways that through this awareness of things that we could possibly do to enhance our life. Now, surrendering to the understanding that all of life works in alignment to what is possible. The world is ours to design, and every possibility is out there once we align the frequency to that. And ultimately, worthiness is falling in love with self and falling in love with the journey. It's the journey where we have the lesson. It's the journey where we get the tools and the experience, where we have perceptions and deeper understanding, where we have opportunity to love each other, love not only others, but ourselves more.
Now, loving yourself. In this 3D world, we are always separate from what we desire. But to create any desire, we must become a vibrational match. And most of us are vibrating in lower things. We're looking at videos and we're jealous, or how come they get to go to Costa Rica or wherever they go, and we're looking at it, just drooling over it. Instead, we should be happy for people having experiences. And within ourselves, love ourselves enough to create some good experiences where we plan and create them. To heal, you must be a match for healthy. To receive abundance, you must be accepting of wealth. To receive love, you must have love in your life and in your heart. But each of us must first walk through the door of worthiness to receive these things.
And walking through that door is leaving the old self. When we changing the life that we have from what is familiar and known, and surrendering to what is unknown and unfamiliar takes some of the following. Now, it's scary to be in the unknown, or we're programmed that this is, if it's unfamiliar and scary, that it's not something that we can engage in. But change is good, and overriding your repeated thoughts, emotions, and behavior. We've spent many years programming ourselves as a level of safety, letting go of these attachments that we've created for safety. Now, this attachment could be a job that seems like it sucks your soul. It could be an unhealthy relationship. It could be patterns where we self-sabotage, where we take substances to numb ourselves. Any of these attachments that we've done so that we feel safe in our body. Letting go of these attachments and surrendering to the unknown is one of the most challenging, but also one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. Staying conscious in your daily activities. It's our day-to-day activities that incite the thoughts and the emotions that we have, where we stay in these patterns of familiar. By staying conscious, we have awareness of where we may have fallen from grace, where we may not show up as our best self, where we may have been triggered by events and we fall into these tendencies trying to numb ourselves. What was the trigger in the first place to need to numb ourselves into a sense of safety? And then it's also demonstrating an elevated state of being. Now, as Einstein said, we can't find a solution in the same space that we created the problem in. We have to elevate our state of mind, we have to elevate our awareness and elevate our emotions. Raising our consciousness and our awareness from a higher perspective gives us a greater understanding of where things can make some adjustments. And then it's surrendering to the greatest possibilities. God is on our side. The world is ours to design. Everything is working in its highest order, and all we have to do is trust and tap into higher love.
So, change requires contemplation. You need to think about how you think about things. Now, this isn't easy for some people because we're so conditioned to thinking certain ways. And so we need to self-reflect and have compassion for ourselves. If we can't have compassion for ourselves, how do we have compassion for others? We need to have awareness of our thoughts and our emotions and stop negative emotions before they incorporate deeper into our bodies. And we do this by canceling it immediately and replacing it with a good positive emotion. And the most positive emotion is love. Awareness of our thoughts and emotions is so vital. Forgiveness of past experiences. Let them go. They're in the past. We need to be our best in the now. And love of self and others is so vital. We can't love others till we love ourselves. So when God says, love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul, It's talking about you loving yourself with all your heart, mind, and soul. And then the second is like unto it, love your neighbor as yourself. But you got to love yourself first. So raising your vibrational energy to the highest vibration is love and being loving.
That's right. So cultivating lasting change is not a one and done, and we don't want to have a momentary change and then fall back into old behaviors. We need to cultivate this lasting change by recognizing that having an awareness doesn't fix the problem. It's the first step. Recognizing that there is something that needs an adjustment, have an awareness that there may be trauma in your history, and then actively engaging in the steps to rewrite the synaptic connections, to retrain the brain, to retrain the body, and to allow yourself to feel safe in your own body. Change requires stopping the unhelpful thoughts and behaviors, catching them, and retraining the brain. Now, neuroplasticity is created through patterns. The more that every thought, every emotion, every engagement creates a synaptic connection. The more we have repeated patterns, it builds and strengthens that synaptic connection. So when we have a traumatic experience, it's a heavy imprint. It's something that gets almost emblazed inside the brain. So we want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And so whether good or bad, we're still building synaptic connections. The more we place attention on it, the more we strengthen that. The more we take our attention off of those paths, the more it starts to unwind and unwire those synaptic connections. So you must also feel calm mind and feel safe in the body through breath work, mindfulness, and emotional management are the keys to starting to feel safe again in the body.
Now, healing with the love technique. We're going to do a technique that Vicki does very often, and you close your eyes and you breathe in a peaceful, rhythmic manner and breathe out. So breathe in, place your hands over your heart, move your attention to your heart. Your heart is an organ that works with electromagnetism, and it's very powerful. It sends out these waves of energy. And think of something or someone you love more than anything, and that'll raise your vibration, put out even more energy. Radiate this love out into the world. You'll find by doing this, you're actually affecting the whole rather than just affecting yourself.
It's placing the attention through love. And then nurturing yourself is, it's so important when we enter into the unfamiliar that we have to really feel calm and strong in our body. We encourage you to seek growth over pleasure. We chose to come into this life during this time, and this is a crazy time in history. I don't think anything in recorded history would ever come close to what we've experienced and witnessed in the last few years. But we came to learn, we came to create, we came to serve, and we came to experience. So when we seek growth and recognize that we don't focus on the details of the experience, focus on the growth opportunities that are present. Be vulnerable with your tribe. Tribes are what we're here to build. Building and strengthening your tribe and being vulnerable opens your heart and opens up for possibilities that other people have a different perspective. Your tribe should feel safe for you, and it gives you opportunity to have somebody to reflect, to share tools, to share insight, wisdom, and to love you through some experiences. Do what makes you happy rather than others' expectations. Now, most of us were raised with some level of authority demanding that we do things or telling us that we have to do things. There were rules that were created by other people. It starts with our parents and our grandparents, our caregivers, our educators. It moves into the government. It moves into our job. It moves into other relationships where other people have expectations on us, and we just kind of just go with what other people expect. But when you're very solid in what your expectations are and you do what makes you happy, it's not that you bypass what other people need, but you put yourself first. You do a little bit of a check-in. Is this work for me? Is this helping me move in the direction that I want, or is it moving me further away from the direction that I want? Set healthy boundaries. Not only does this benefit for you, it's a benefit from everybody that you interact with. When you establish healthy boundaries and you write your own declaration of what you are, or you put your rules of your life. This could be the rules in your home. It could be the rules in your workspace. It could be your rules with your relationships. But set healthy boundaries with yourself. Once you establish those and you're very clear on them, the energy bleeds out into others and they become very clear. We train people all the time to behave accordingly. So how we treat ourselves impacts how other people treat us as well. Stop looking for outside validation. Now this is very common in social media now, where people make a post or we do a video, and then 5 minutes later we look to see how many likes we have, or we see how many followers we have, or we recognize, wait, people don't like me, and we start judging how people feel about us based upon how many likes are on our social media post. This shows up in other areas of our life, but this is the most glaring, is when we are always looking for that little fix, that little hit from social media, that other people recognized us or we did a good thing, and we're looking for validation. We can kind of bypass that. Sure, go ahead and post. We go ahead and post on social media, but don't be attached to needing that validation. And then make peace with our past. All of us have had challenges. All of us have had things, maybe hindsight, we would do different. Maybe we had those experiences that were painful. Maybe we did good things, but make peace with that. And that starts with forgiveness. We know better now. We would do different now. We all grow, hopefully. So make peace with what was, and then keep your attention in the forward movement. And then treat your body with tenderness. Whatever you're moving into is unfamiliar territory, not only for your mind, but also your body. Be kind with the body. It's on this journey the entire ride of your entire life experience. And we have been programmed to not love ourselves. We have been conditioned that we have to do more to be lovable. But we have to start loving ourselves. Nurture the body. Be kind to the body. And when you're not feeling your best self, rather than judging your body when there's symptoms that show up, or judging the brain because it can't turn itself off, have compassion for this consciousness that you're working with inside the body that's here, the vehicle here to support you.
One of the things I need to talk about, nurturing yourself, we've been told we're the problems. There's too many humans on the planet. There's too many of us doing stupid stuff and all of these things, and we start looking at ourselves in a negative aspect. You've got to let go of all that information because it's not true. When we create a better self, we create a better world. And we are not the problem. We are the creators, and we need to take it upon ourselves to create better things.
That's right.
Let go of your past and create a better present moment. So the empowered self, the greatest freedom possible, is the knowledge that you create your world. When you become aware of your conditioned beliefs, habits, emotions, and thoughts, you are no longer bound by the limitations of this conditioning, because your beliefs, emotions, and thoughts actually create your personality, which create your personal reality. Now you are the consciousness observing your prior state of being with the ability to create change, and create it in the now, right in the present moment. Choose to create the changes you desire as an example of what is possible, because what you're doing now creates your future.
So we have arrived at our 11th chakra. The 11th chakra is the astral body. Now this is located in the palms of our hands and in our feet. This chakra is used to transfer energy. So these are the entrance points to give and receive energy for healing when we bless others, or we give energy, or we project energy, and it's the receiver of energy as well. This is where we access our advanced skills, our spiritual skills, our teleportation, bilocation, and telekinesis. A beautiful way that we can use this energy point is just, most people will start out having connection and just feeling the vibration of energy, that we kind of feel this ball of energy between the hands. You can rub the palms of your hand to stimulate this and start building up. We can use some intention to help build up that energy, and you can send it to others. There's been times where one of us has been out of town and the other one needed some support. One time specifically, I was quite ill and I was traveling And Scott did that, and it helped shoot energy to me, and I was able to arrive safely, with greater energy. So this is a great source to start utilizing, is this chakra. The sacred truth of the 11th chakra is eternal oneness.
And another thing about the astral body, when Michelangelo drew the Vitruvian Man, he measured the distance between the legs and drew a circle around the hands and down to the legs, knowing the astral plane is there. And that's where we can create big changes in everything, because our energy flows around this astral body. And the astral body is where we travel through space, time, and dimension. And so just know it's a very powerful body.
That's right.
So the 11th chakra, the emotional deficiencies that occur when your 11th chakra is not balanced, you feel disconnected from yourself and others. You have an inability to accept change. You're focused on the physical body and surroundings, and you're not using your energy to create the changes you desire. Now, when the 11th chakra is balanced, you view all life as a connected web. Affecting one affects everyone else. Becoming aware of the larger picture of your existence in this physical reality and using your gifts of energy healing, supporting the whole, because we're all healers and we can heal each other.
That's right. So I want to talk about emotional anticipation. So how many times have you been driving to maybe work or to meet up with an individual that you have to have a resolution with, or a family member, or something that you're anticipating, and the whole time that you're driving, you're in this dialogue, like you're carrying on a conversation with them. Of course, it's a little bit more one-sided, but you are engaged in a conversation. So by the time you arrive, you're highly charged, you're on the alert, you've already worked yourself up into a frenzy, or you've worked yourself in a state of protection because you're anticipating that other person's reaction. And through this emotional anticipation, we become very actively charged. Now, I used to have this with somebody that was my ex-husband's grandmother. And my ex-husband was her first grandson, the golden boy. He was called the golden boy a lot. And she viewed him as perfect. Now, every grandmother should love their grandchild, of course, and they should view them as perfect and wonderful. But she did it at such an extreme that there was nobody good enough to be his partner. And so she was very, very critical of me. She would always make little jabs, little comments, very derogatory and very judgmental. And at the time, it just really was challenging for me. So every time I knew that I was going to see her, as I was driving, I would always be engaged in this dialogue, and I would try to defend myself in my mind and try to protect myself because of the comments. But this really charged me a lot, and I felt like I was on the defense a lot. So we want to share with you our tool for transformation is called, go ahead, is in the driver's seat. Now, I love this tool of transformation, and I use this even today regularly. It's a fantastic tool to help give you some clarity in when you're driving. Now, we all drive to different locations when we're anticipating having an interaction, and you can do this post-interaction, so you can carry on this conversation. Now, when we have this charged energy, being in the driver's seat is a very doable tool. Now, the first step is you establish rules. The driver chooses the speed, the destination, music, the temperature of the car. So when you invite that other person into your car, you get to establish all of the rules. You decide in a soul-to-soul experience, you can either say this out loud or just say it in your mind, but energetically invite them into the car and you establish rules. So number 2 is you energetically get an agreement of those tools. Now, this is working soul to soul, so you're working from an intuitive nature. But if you engage in this, it's very easy to start. You hear that. You've already heard that their language all the time when you're driving. Now you get to do it with intention. Talk out loud as if they're sitting beside you. Get everything out. Say everything that is unfinished. This is a safe place to do it. Nobody is there to be criticizing you, but you get everything out, and then notice if you feel unheard or felt a level of disrespect or any kind of rebuttal from them. Then if that's the case, reestablish the rules. Like, look, hey, you're in my car. These are my rules. This is my language, and this is my time. I get to be heard. Then intuitively, once you've got all of that out of you, intuitively listen to the rebuttal, because we're not making somebody bad and we're not making them inferior to us. We're offering an opportunity for our perspective to be shared, our emotions to be released, and we can validate where we're standing in a healthy, safe environment. And then say any unfinished statements. The whole purpose of this is that we finish the conversation. We allow the experience to finish. You know how when you get a song stuck into your head and you have that section that just plays over and over, and in order to do that, you need to finish the entire song so that you feel complete in your brain? This is the same type of scenario. You finish everything that needs to be said, that unfinished language. When you feel complete, you can tell them how this relationship will proceed. You've established new rules, and now you're establishing the new relationship. You establish healthy boundaries. You say what your expectations. Now, this not only affects the energy, but you're clarifying this in yourself so that you will be the gatekeeper and the steward of any kind of information that comes back at you. Then, when you're complete, when you're at the next stop sign, or when you have arrived at your destination, gently and with kindness, you invite them to leave your vehicle. This is your sacred space, and they're not allowed into this space anymore. I mean, if you choose to invite them under different terms, that's fantastic, but these are for you to decide. And then once you're done, just say, thank you, you're welcome to leave my space, and then energetically remove all of the residue from your body. You want to just get all of the residue off of your energy field, remove all of that, be clean, and then move forward as if that conversation actually took place. Now, whether you do a lot of our tools or not, this is one that's very doable, and we highly encourage. I really like this one, and it's something that while you're driving, you don't have to take extra time to do tools, but this is one that can really get home.
Now, the essential oils that go with the 11th chakra are magnolia and neroli. Magnolia is very good for anxiety, depression, fatigue. It calms a busy mind down. It supports your coping skills, improves focus. It gets rid of grief, shock, and restlessness. Neroli, which is from the flowers of the orange tree, they make the oil from the flowers. It relieves stress and grief. It improves sleep, decreases cortisol levels, so it helps your adrenal glands, helps you get back out of fight or flight and overwhelm and tension and overthinking things.
Yeah, magnolia is one that I really love. When we have that, I can't turn my brain off, that scattered overthinking, magnolia is a fantastic one to help calm that over-agitated mind. Now, as a little disclaimer was this, flower oils tend to be, they tend to be synthetic, especially things like, what is the one that you love that?
Patchouli?
No, I love patchouli. No, one of them is in my mind, but a lot of the flower oils, they're hard to harvest and they take a lot. Like rose petals take a lot. So they tend to be more expensive. If you choose these, make sure you're getting a very quality oil and not a synthetic or a blend. Now, in review, trauma is an opportunity for growth and a deeper understanding of self. Healing addiction begins when we look at what caused the pain in the first place. We can't focus on healing the behavior of the addiction without addressing the pain first. And the more awareness you have in the patterns of your behavior, the more you can do something about it. Now, we don't have any questions for tonight, so let's go ahead and move forward. And let's do the blessing.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and give you all a blessing. In the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, the creator of the multiverse, and by virtue of the great divine director who commanded me to give blessings to all the humans on and off planet Earth, We give you a blessing to bring love back to you. We bless you that you'll feel the love in your heart and spread it throughout your body. And as you know, the greatest commandment is love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul. And as we love the Lord, we love ourselves. And then we can use the second greatest commandment, which is love thy neighbor as thyself. Because as we love ourselves, as we love God, we can love our neighbor. We bless you that your minds and bodies will be filled with that love, that the emotions will be heightened in your body, that you will know that you are God's children and you are the gods who were sent to earth to create. We bless you that your bodies will be strong and healthy, that your bones, your ligaments, your tendons, your joints will all become perfected, and your aches and pains will be released, and your emotions will become higher vibrations, and you'll get rid of all the lower vibrations. We bless you that you will love your neighbors as yourself, which means that you're not out doing things that are not proper, but you are loving everything around you with God's love, which means you don't do anything inappropriate, that you love your neighbor as yourself and bring them joy and happiness and peace, as you bring yourself joy, happiness, and peace. In the name of Jesus the Christ, we bless you with these things. So be it. So it is. God bless you all.
God bless you all.
Thank you. And love is the answer.
Love is the answer. I love you very much. Thank you for doing this journey with me. Thank you all of you for joining us. Next week is our final week of invoking the divine to thrive.
And thank you for being here.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.